Hi, I'm Deni Neil, Larimer County Community Information Manager.
And I'm Neil Gluckman, Assistant County Manager.
Thanks for joining us for That Larimer County Show. Today we're going to talk about Veterans Services. The Veterans Office is located in the Larimer County Courthouse Offices building in downtown Fort Collins on the 5th floor. They're part of the Larimer County Workforce Division in Larimer County, and the Veterans Services provides assistance to veterans, military veterans living in Larimer County and their dependents.
And we do have two guests who are experts in that field. We have Debbie Pierson, also known as Deborah Ann Pierson. And you're the Veteran Service Office Coordinator?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't call me sir. And then we also have Lonnie Berett, who takes the role of the chair or the head of the group called the Larimer County Advisory Team. Veterans
Team or group.
Yeah.
Okay. And your job is really to provide advice on the particular area of how we do the Larimer County, deliver the Larimer County program. Is that correct? Something like that.
Well, I assist Debbie in trying to outreach to the public in Larimer County. And the Veterans Advisory Group is actually made up of organizations that provide service to veterans. And we try and coordinate our efforts and plan our activities so that we can reach out to more veterans.
And the key is that all those that are on that team are all they're all former veterans. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, we have that one wrong. So
Because there are a lot of organizations that provide services to veterans that are not veterans themselves.
okay, well that's good to know.
We have like Colorado State University, Front Range, a lot of them are part of this board. We have the senators, they come in.
Okay.
So it's kind of a community
Okay,
type organization.
Associated with veterans in some form or another.
Yes.
in delivering services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also point out that, Lonnie, you're the Road and Bridge Paved Roads Manager, and you've been with the county 30 years. So that's your day job, right?
It's my day job and
Yeah.
sometimes nights.
And sometimes nights. But you're a Veterans Service Officer with the Veterans Office, and so that's a different role than what Debbie plays as the coordinator of the office or the office manager of Veterans Services. So you basically run the office.
We do the claims part of the office.
Okay.
Lonnie does a lot of the outreach with
Okay.
the VFW, the American Legion, the VFW, our organizations. He's kind of our go-to person
Okay.
for those types of issues. You know, maybe we're not meeting a need in the community, and Lonnie hears about it and brings it to our attention.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the services that you do provide. So why don't you kind of go through the more important ones?
Well, we believe that all veterans should apply to use the VA Medical Center. You know, the laws have changed a little bit here recently. The VA has become a much more friendly organization, and they're really reaching out to the veterans for them to apply. Now, not all veterans are going to be eligible, but the only way to find out is to apply. So that's really one of the main things, is to be sure and apply to use the VA Medical Center. And then you have the benefits part. You have the part where maybe you would be entitled to what's called compensation because you were injured while on active duty. Things such as hearing loss, tinnitus, that ringing in your ears, a lot of times that can be related to your military service, and that is one of the #1 conditions VA pays for. You served as in an engine room or something, and you have noise exposure. That's going to cause an injury, and not everybody realizes.
If I'm a veteran, let's say I'm a veteran and I've been out for 20 years, and I didn't know that your service existed and I'm watching right now, is it too late?
No, it's never too late to file a claim. You know, it's not going to go back to the date that you were discharged, but it's never too late to file that claim. And we encourage the veterans to come in and let us do that.
So it's always good to find out first.
Yes.
Don't
Just think you're
assume.
not eligible, right?
Because it would be, I understand what Neil's saying, because sometimes people might experience an illness and not realize that it's associated with something. You had mentioned to me that Lou Gehrig's disease, for instance, is presumptive that there was some cause to do with military service, right?
Right. Any veteran who has Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, or has passed away from it and there's a widow, they need to contact our office, because having served in uniform most of the time will make that family member or the veteran eligible for what's called compensation. It will pay from anywhere from $127 a month to over $2,000. So it's something to really look into.
Okay. Now, also, when people want to get benefits, they usually have to fill out forms. That's pretty typical. Now, are your forms online, free, easy to access?
our forms are online. We prefer to help you submit them, so if you'd like to fill them out online and get them to us or call for an appointment so that we can go over them with you. We find, or the VA tells us, that if you have a person go over it with you, you're more likely to get a higher benefit because there's some things that you don't think about. Maybe that hearing loss, but you don't realize that ringing is actually a separate disability. Or maybe you broke your ankle in the military, but it's not necessarily giving you problems today, even though you've got 2 pins in it. So when you visit with someone who is kind of trained to go from head to toe,
Right.
to see what other benefits that you might be eligible for.
Speaking of benefit, what I hear you saying, it's a very strong benefit to go and talk to you because you'll be able to kind of walk them through all that, and anything that they may miss, you'll be able to identify.
The office, either myself or a staff member. It
Right.
would be-
Right. You're both experts. Everyone who's in that
Yes.
office are
They
the
are experts. I have the best staff out there.
We do have great.
And you said something too that you said appointment. So could I drop in?
We try to do what we can for drop-in, but we are the second busiest county in the state of Colorado. So we can't always take care of walk-in needs because a walk-in is usually a 5-10 minute appointment. Usually when you're filing for claims, it's 20-25 minutes and can be longer.
So you stress making an appointment.
So how long does it take to get an appointment?
Well, at this point in time, it's about 6 to 7 weeks out. We have mandatory training and things that kind of interfere with our schedules.
Yeah, I think I heard you say we're the second busiest office.
We are second to Colorado Springs.
Why is that, do you think? Any
I
idea?
don't know if it's because we have the VA Medical Center clinic here and that they point veterans into our direction. I really can't give you a reason other than we do a lot of outreach. Every county in the state of Colorado has an office like ours, but I can't tell you why we're the busiest.
So give us some comparison. You say second busiest in the state of Colorado. What does that mean? How many clients a month or
Well,
something like that?
about 700 veterans walk in our door every month.
Wow, that's huge.
It might be something to do with filing to find your DD-214, which is your discharge papers.
Yeah.
Or it could be something that you want to file, request a marker for that family member that's passed away. VA Medical Center applications, 1010 forms, that's probably one of the busiest or the most common thing that we do.
And that's 700 a month are a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And we have this county trivia question that we take out when we do outreach with citizens, and one of the questions is, what are the things Larimer County doesn't do? And there's only 2 things on the list, but one of the things we list that we do is veteran services, and people are always surprised. They always associate veteran services with federal. Do you find that? Find that people are surprised that the county does veteran services?
I do find it. A lot of times a client will come in and they don't realize that we are not the VA, that we're actually Larimer County employees.
Yeah.
And
And you do a different job than the VA.
that's correct. We are actually that person that puts that claim together to send it to the VA because
Right.
I don't find the VA as a negative. I find the VA wants to legally award you. Now, not everybody sees it that way, but I kind of have more of a positive. Let's give the VA a reason. We kind of think outside the box, find a way to say yes.
And Lonnie, you're a veteran. So why don't you just give us some background? Where did you serve and what did you do? And
Well, I served during the Vietnam era. I went in the service back in '72. Served 4 years in the Air Force, worked on F-4 fighter aircraft
as a mechanic?
as a electronics mechanic. And after I got out in '76, I was out for several years, and then I joined the Army National Guard in Wyoming to gain experience as a heavy equipment operator to get a better job. And lo and behold, a week later, I got a job with Larimer County, and
Within 1 week.
yeah, it was such a great job. I'm still here.
Great training.
Great training.
Accelerated training.
Yeah, and spent 26 years in the Army National Guard in Wyoming and did several different jobs during that time. And then when the opportunity came open to serve with Larimer County as a veteran service officer, I jumped on that application, and lo and behold, I was selected, and thank goodness for that, because it's one of the best group of people that I've ever worked with.
You must be very proud of the work that Debbie and her staff do.
They do a fantastic job, and everywhere I go, I hear good things about Debbie in the office, and they're recognized statewide.
Well, tell us about some of the outreach that you do. What are some of the kinds of events that you do?
Well, besides the Larimer County Advisory Group for the veterans. We do try and update a calendar on our website that has all the events of all the veterans organizations in northern Colorado. We also have started doing a picnic once a year called the Patriot Picnic, and that's to recognize veterans and other patriots, and we serve a free meal for them, and we advertise that, and a lot of the veterans organizations help me put that on, and we have Marine Corps Reserve Leagues that cook hamburgers, and the American Legion donates buns, and everybody participates. And we also set up booths at that picnic to let veterans know what benefits are available to them. And CSU and the Front Range Community College also participate and help us, reach out to veterans as well, and veteran students.
What percentage of veterans do you think take advantage of the benefits that are available to them? Any guess on that?
I'm not sure. I think when the economy's a little bit worse, I think more veterans reach out for assistance to make ends meet a little bit. I wish more veterans would take advantage of the opportunity to use the benefits. They need to come and see us. Lonnie had talked about the Veterans Picnic, and I'd kind of like to back up with that a little bit. It's going to be at the Veterans Plaza. Lonnie, you take over for this. It kind of...
Okay. The Veterans Plaza at Spring Canyon Park.
It's a new installation, yeah.
Yes, and they're just finished that, or I don't think they've quite finished it because they still have to get the computers in to show the names of the veterans. But any veteran can have their name listed on that, or relatives' names. It originally started out that you had to have a connection with northern Colorado, but now they've expanded that to include all and any veterans. And what it is they can go in there and get on the computer and scroll down and either alphabetically or just by region look up individuals, and they can also look up information on different battles and battlefields. There's actually a garden there that has soils from many different battlefields all over the world.
And it's not a memorial, it's more of a celebration of veterans. They've got the statue, and they're going to have the amphitheater, and they've got the benches. I mean, it's going to be a very happy place to be.
No matter what your politics are, we're all proud of the young men and women that serve in the military. And I'm just wondering right now, with people coming back from the Middle East, what type of issues do they face when they come back? I mean, I'm sure some of this stuff is pretty hard.
Well, I think that they kind of have three challenges personally. Finding a job. The economy is not where you can just basically pick up where you left off, and so they have families that they're trying to support. They suffer from some illnesses. A lot of our veterans have been deployed more than once, and I think the more times you're deployed, personally, I think that probably increases your PTSD.
That's post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Right, post-traumatic stress disorder.
We're talking about mental, an issue that is affecting them mentally.
Right. Reconnecting with their friends and their family members and the communities because they've been gone for a while. And then trying to get that medical treatment. Right now, the VA Medical Center is, from the time that you are discharged, if you are a combat veteran, they have a 5-year window where you can get enrolled in what's called Priority 6. And the VA has 8 different priorities, and that's where our recently discharged combat veterans fit into. And that means that they are almost, as the law reads today, guaranteed to have medical care as long as they get into that 5-year window. Doesn't mean that it's free care, but it does mean that they have that capability of having it as an option. Maybe they have employer-sponsored health care, but this would be another avenue for them in case.
So if they do need to talk to a therapist, does it have to be someone that comes through, is it a veteran service therapist, or is it a way that they can go to someone throughout the community? I'm real curious to how that works.
We encourage that they use the vet center, and you don't have to, it's a little easier to get into. You call, you say, I need to talk to someone, you have counselors, you can usually get in within about 12 hours, 24 hours.
And those folks are experts in that anyway, so that's probably...
The majority of them are veterans themselves.
Right.
In the civilian world, the care is the same, but they don't necessarily have that combat-related
Yes,
expertise.
and I could see that.
So wherever you need to go to get help, that's where you need to go.
And I guess you already gave the answer, that help is there.
Yes, all you have to do, and it's, there's a saying that it takes strength to be a soldier, and it takes courage to ask for help. Or maybe I have that backwards, but
Yeah.
and the VA does reach out to the men and women who are in crisis for them to please contact. They have helplines, they have the VA medical centers, they have the vet centers, and the VA, the vet center is separate from a VA medical center. Therefore, our combat veterans or sexual trauma, they're specifically for those types of issues.
So, Lonnie, could you relate to that it's hard for a veteran to ask for help?
I think so. I think a lot of times veterans are very humble, and they don't expect a lot of assistance when they get back. But there's a lot of assistance out there for the veterans, and it's hard a lot of times to get them to come in and ask for help. But there is a lot of help there for them if they just come in. And if the office doesn't provide that service, they can usually direct them to where to go. And there's also links on the website. And also the Vet Center here in Fort Collins, they do have group therapy where they get groups of veterans together where they can just talk about their issues, and that makes it easier too.
Yeah.
And they're community-based, meaning that they're right here in our community. You can go over there, you can knock on their door, you can walk in, have a cup of coffee. They're trying to be very welcoming instead of a clinical type situation.
You must have vets of all ages.
Yes.
I mean, what are the oldest age of the oldest vets that you serve?
In their 90s.
In their 90s?
Yeah, the World War II veterans.
Down to 20s. Yeah, so that's a really broad scope.
I've been doing this for 20 years, and I kind of feel like I've seen a generation. I've helped Dad, and now maybe his son or daughter is coming in. Or maybe I help Mom. I mean, I'm not trying to be gender.
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, do most of the vets from our area use the hospital services in Cheyenne if they need hospital services or medical services in Cheyenne?
Because of where we live, Cheyenne is our VA medical center that we're attached to.
Okay.
We do have an outpatient clinic here on Research, but again, it's appointment only. They aren't set up to do emergencies, and they're not set up to do walk-ins.
But we're fortunate to be, 45 miles from a very good facility.
That's correct.
And you work quite a bit with Cheyenne's programs.
We do. That partnership that we've developed over the years, and it's a very good partnership.
We hear about, and I know that you don't do all these programs, but we hear about different programs in the community, and some of them are kind of new to me, like the stand down programs, where you have a day where you collect goods and services for vets. Is that right?
November the 10th.
Tell us about those.
Well, that's put on largely by our workforce center, and can't think of
Chad.
Chad's usually the one that puts that together, and like Debbie said, it's always November 10th, the day before Veterans Day.
Okay.
And it's designed to help the homeless veterans.
Okay.
And here the last few years it's been over at the
Catholic Charities.
Catholic Charities, yeah.
And what's done at that stand down day?
Well, they have clothes that they've gathered, from coats to blankets to cots.
Socks and
to
underwear.
Sleeping bags. And the veterans can come in and get what they need. Usually there's a large selection. They usually have somebody there that repairs bicycles, because a lot of our homeless veterans are on bicycles. And there's usually 2 or 3 volunteers that give veterans haircuts. The vet center's generally there to do some dental exams, and
The VA Medical Center is there to do flu shots and dental check for cancers and things.
That's great.
yeah, they provide breakfast and lunch for the veterans.
And how many people show up at those?
Oh,
I think it was about 150 this last year. We know that each year it gets to be a little bit larger.
and Fort Collins is not the only one. They usually do this in Denver, and I think are looking at expanding it to Greeley as well.
And these programs will probably start expanding even more now that there's a lot more vets coming home and
Yeah.
here home now.
Yeah.
So, Debbie Ann, you said that the employment is one of the main issues. What do you do? Do you work with the Workforce Center? How do you
Well, the
help?
Workforce Center actually has 3 veterans reps that help our veterans to get employment, either by, if you're a disabled veteran, you have a different priority. If you're a veteran just recently returning, you have a certain priority. But we have 3 contact people in the Workforce Center that our veterans go to get that one-on-one assistance. Then they do the best. They have a great staff at the Workforce.
I've noticed there were job fairs also for vets.
That's correct. Throughout the
Give them a-
communities, they do 2 or 3 a year.
Okay.
Do veterans still receive priority for state or federal jobs? Is that still in practice, or has that gone away?
I believe that most organizations or companies still offer that. Not all do.
Yeah.
It's kind of a per organization,
It's
right?
not a requirement.
Federal jobs will always, I think, have that.
Yeah.
It's called civil service preference.
So the most important thing then, and part of your outreach, is just letting people know about all the services that are available. What can the community do to support things like the Stand Down or the Veterans Affairs work days, work fairs? Are there things that you're looking or asking the community for to participate in?
In my opinion, if they would get involved with like the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV on our local level, because we go to them a lot of times to get our coats and to get our soaps and our shampoos, because they are a fabulous resource. One voice, 100, voices.
Yeah.
It's not sure exactly the grassroots.
So what if somebody wanted to donate some goods to that event? How would they do it? Would they contact one of these service organizations?
Or probably the mission directly also.
Yeah, the mission has certain number of beds set aside for veterans there at the mission.
Okay.
And that was made possible by Dellenbach, a donation from Dellenbach. And
That's great.
but if they'd contact the mission, our Chad Imker at the Workforce Center, he's the one that heads up that. Any of the American Legion VFWs in the area,
Marine Corps League,
they all
whatever you're.
contribute. Yeah. And those organizations also volunteer, help to set everything up. The last couple of years, we've had to turn away volunteers to help during the stand down because we had too many.
Had too many people wanted to help.
I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
think that what we find is we have a lot of phone calls about people wanting to volunteer, and of course, our office is such a small office
Yeah.
and due to privacy, we can't necessarily have volunteers there. However, if they got involved with the American Legions and the VFWs and the DAVs, they could also, their talents would really be recognized and would be.
A really great way
Yes.
to do that. Okay.
So I want to emphasize that the work that Lonnie does is it's volunteer work. Works for Larimer County. Are there other folks in Larimer County that are kind of volunteer, not maybe necessarily with the veterans group, but that you're aware of? I would think our county folks are they're good workers and they.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple or several Larimer County employees that have come to our Veterans Advisory Group to assist in that. Sheriff's Department has a lot of veterans, and they actually have their own honor guard over there that they use to assist schools to do flag raisings and those types of things. And
Clerk and recorder has a couple of members.
Yep.
yes. So Larimer County is lucky to have about 100 veterans that work for Larimer County, and so.
And then they do more than just their 8 to 5 or their regular Larimer County work. Is what you're saying is they put a lot of volunteer work in as well.
And one thing that I've learned since I started working with Debbie is that there's a lot of veterans that like to take care of other veterans, and so it's really a big resource out there, and there is a lot of help for veterans from other veterans. So, if veterans have applied for benefits before and have had a bad experience, they need to just come in and give it another shot, because
It's different here.
it's different here, and it's different than it used to be. It really is.
It's a friendlier VA.
It is.
It really is. In the 20 years that I've been doing it, I have seen that the VA has changed. Now, are they busy? Yes, they're really busy, but they are friendlier.
Well, and that was my last question. We have just about 3 minutes left. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, if there's anything that you want to make sure we cover, but you both have had this view of 20 years plus on this, and even longer for you. So that's one of the major changes you've seen, is just a change in the whole VA Veterans Affairs attitude.
Yes.
Towards assisting veterans.
You know, the backlog, they do have a backlog. There
Sure.
are some issues there, but I do find them to be much friendlier. And I would like to say that, you know, if someone needs to charge you to give you an application to do VA benefits, you probably need to call our office and see if we can't help you with that for free. Sometimes it's just downloading a form, and we have them on our website. They're free of charge. You don't have to pay anybody. You can come to our office and we'll help you fill it out. You don't have to pay anybody.
That's a really good point.
You know, I could go back 20 years and I could verify that the veteran service offices were very mean back then.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we have the new friendly veteran service office.
Straight from Neil.
Straight from me.
What do you know?
But what Debbie says is a good point, that there is fraud out there, and so
Yeah.
if somebody wants to charge you to fill out paperwork for veteran services or veteran benefits, it should raise a red flag and check it out and call the office.
Okay, and we've got the website and the phone number up on the screen. We'll let people know that so they can call, and they can always call Larimer County, and they'll be directed to the Veterans Affairs office, because you're right, there are people who in all walks of life are going to try to make some money off things that are free. So, yeah.
And just right here real quick, I might mention a couple events that are coming up the end of May that might be of interest. One of them is Honor the Fallen, which is an event that's going to be held down at Loveland at the Rialto Theater. And they're going to have a display that honors those from this area in Colorado that have given the ultimate price in the Afghanistan, Iraq wars. And then also that same weekend is the grand opening for the Veterans Plaza there at Spring Canyon Park. So watch for advertisements for those events. And
Is that all around Memorial Day?
yes, it's
Yeah, makes
right
sense.
close to that weekend.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah, well, great. Debbie, is there anything else you wanted to add before we close here?
You know, I would just encourage all veterans and their dependents to call our office to at least let us make that contact and ask you some very specific questions and see if we can't help.
Can't lose. Right?
And then just one last quick
Okay.
thing that I just happened to think of is the Workforce Center there on the 5th floor where the Veterans Service Office is. They provide a lot of service to veterans, and they have veterans that staff that as well and help veterans fill out job applications better, give them interview skill classes, and there's a lot of benefits there for veterans that are back that are looking for work again in the civilian world. So.
Good.
Is there training also available?
Voc Rehab has a little bit of training, and there is some, I'm going to get into trouble for this, but there's some monies that are grant monies that are specifically for veterans, like green jobs.
Yeah.
But that would be something that the Workforce Center would have to be, you know, would talk about, the criteria.
And vocational schools. Okay, great. Neil, anything you want to add?
No, this is very educational. I mean, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. It's a great program.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
you do.
And I think the emphasis I got that I would share is, if you're not sure, call, because if you know in terms of benefits, call, because what do they have to lose, and they might gain a lot.
And every veteran is unique. I mean, every veteran is unique. It's not that you serve side by side. You are unique, and we need to talk about you directly, specifically.
Thanks so much for being here today. It's great.
Thank you.
And thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Deni.
And thank you for joining us for That Larimer County Show.